Hi everyone, welcome to my channel E4 Echoes and I am Manu V. In this video, I am going to discuss another interesting topic, that is Weber's least cost theory of industrial location. Please listen, you must watch part 1 to easily understand this theory. So let me start. Alfred Weber, a German economist, was the first economist who gave scientific exposition to the theory of location and thus filled a theoretical gap created by classical economists. He gave his ideas in his Theory of Location of Industries, which was first published in German language in 1909 and translated into English in 1929. His theory is also known as pure theory, which has analytical approach to the problem. It is deductive in approach because the basic of his theory is the study of general factors which pull an industry towards different geographical regions. And the Weber's main interest was to construct a general theory of industrial location which could be applied to all industries at all times. For this, he has taken into account the general factors of location which are relevant to all industries. So, he found 3 general factors which vary regionally: raw material cost, transportation cost, and labor cost. Weber's basic principle is that a firm is located where the transportation cost of raw materials and final product is minimum. This is the main idea behind this theory. This theory is based on some assumptions. Unit of study is taken as single country with a single consumption center. That means there is only one market and a single product plant, and some natural resources are ubiquitous. Ubiquitous resources means the resources which are available everywhere, and some natural resources are localized in nature. And labor is not ubiquitous, but it has fixed location and fixed mobility and homogeneous climate. Transportation cost is a function of weight and distance. So the working of this theory is based on these assumptions. Next, we are going to explanation of the theory. Now you can see the factors influencing industrial location can be divided into 2: regional factors and intra-regional factors. The major regional factors or primary causes are transportation cost and labor cost. The major intra-regional factors or the secondary causes are agglomerative and deglomerative factors. First, we are going to discuss transportation cost. It is the cost to transport raw materials and finished product. According to this theory, usually the best site is where transportation cost is the lowest. And the transportation cost is influenced by 3 basic elements: the weight to be transported, the distance to be covered, and the nature of commodities. Next, classification of raw materials. The raw materials can be divided into 2: ubiquitous materials and localized materials. First, ubiquitous materials. Raw materials which are available everywhere, for example water, clay, etc. And localized materials. Raw materials which are available in certain regions and not everywhere, for example iron ore, gold ore, and mineral, etc. And the localized materials can be again divided into pure materials and weight losing materials. First, pure materials. Pure raw material is one which impart its whole weight to the final product. For example, cotton, wool, etc. So these materials are weight gaining materials. Next, weight losing materials. Materials which impart part of their weight to final product. That is why this is called as weight losing materials. For example, gold, fuel, coal, etc. 1000 kg of gold ore will give only 10 kg of pure gold. That is the important peculiarity of gold. Now we are going to the pictorial illustration of this theory, that is location triangle. Alfred Weber used a location triangle to illustrate his approach. It's a simple method to find the minimum transportation cost. In this example, one situation is assumed in which there is only one consumption center, that is market. Two fixed supply center for two main raw materials, that is A and B. And according to Weber, a firm will locate within the triangle, joining the 2 points where the market is situated. The 3 corner points of the triangle will be pulling the location point towards themselves. The position of the point will depend on the balance of the pulls exercised by them. If the pull of any one corner is greater than the sum of the pulls of the other corners, production will be located at the point or corner of origin of the dominant force. Here we can see that the least transportation cost point is raw material A oriented, because the pull of raw material A corner is greater than the sum of the pulls of other corners. Here we can say that weight reducing industries will be raw material oriented and weight gaining industries will be market oriented. Here we have a material index to find out whether the firm is material oriented or market oriented. Material index MI. Material index is equal to weight of local materials input divided by weight of final products. If MI is greater than 1, then the firm is material oriented. And if MI is less than 1, then the firm is market oriented. And if MI is equal to 1, then the firm is materials as well as market oriented. Next factor, labor cost. According to Weber, another regional factor for deviation of industry from one place to another is labor cost. It happens due to differences in labor cost. The labor cost may differ due to 2 reasons: differences in wage rates and differences in the level of efficiency. According to him, if savings in labor cost per unit of output are greater than the extra transportation cost per unit, then the industry take deviation from least transportation cost point to least labor cost point. That is the location where there is a supply of cheap non-union labor may offset transportation cost. To find out whether the labor cost will have an upper hand in the location of industry or not, we have labor cost index. Labor cost index is equal to labor cost divided by weight of product. If this index value is high, which means savings in labor cost exceeds the increment in transportation cost, and industry will get located at the place where labor costs are low. If this index value is low, which means transportation cost may influence the decision and industry cannot be located near labor center. These are the major regional factors, and next we are going to discuss intra-regional factors. First factor, agglomeration. Agglomeration refers to the advantages or cheapening of cost of production due to concentration of an industry. These factors are those which make industry centralized at a particular place. For example, banking and insurance facilities. So, when a group of industries cluster for mutual benefit and shared services, facilities, etc., cost of production will be lower. Here we can see the center of agglomeration. Next factor, deglomeration. Deglomeration is opposite to the agglomeration. The deglomerative forces such as high cost of land, high rent, pollution, etc. are likely to be operate after a certain stage of localization of industries at a place. But Weber ignored them except possibility of high rent, which he related to size of a city. This leads to decentralization of industries. These factors are those which make industry to decentralize. For example, rent of land, labor cost, and transportation cost. This can be understood by manufacturing index. Manufacturing index is equal to manufacturing cost divided by total production cost. Manufacturing index indicates the proportion of manufacturing cost in the total cost of production. If this index value is high, then industry will have tendency to centralize. If it is low, then tendency of decentralization may be visible. And Weber has considered the possibility of split in location and locational coupling. First, split in location. Split in location means locating industry at more than one place. In other words, first stage of production may be near the source of raw materials and later stage may be near the place of final consumption center or market. This results in cost savings. For example, in gold manufacturing industry, the processing of gold ore will be near the source of gold ore, and the manufacturing of gold ornaments will be near the place of final consumption center or market. Next, locational coupling. Locational coupling means that different types of industries can be coupled in one and the same locality. It is just possible to combine production of different articles in one plant because of the availability of several raw materials from the same source. It is also possible due to connection through materials. That is, if the byproduct of one industry happens to be raw material for another, then the two industries may select a single place of location. It can also be due to market connection between two industries. In such a case, product of one industry may enter into another industry without being used as material or half-finished product. And finally, let me conclude by saying critical appraisal of Weber's theory. First, wrong assumptions. There are no fixed center of consumption, and transportation rates are not uniform. Fixed centers with unlimited supply of labor is not true, and the classification of raw materials is arbitrary and complex mathematical coefficients, and this theory is not empirically proven. Thank you. Have a nice day.